Hello, Xcellence family. We are here today as Xcellence Mortgage and Title Concierge, Kristina Suengas, here at your service. I have the opportunity to catch up with Paul Sardon, our title attorney at Xcellence Title. He is a wealth of information and is here to support us with any title or legal questions that come up in your day-to-day transactions. Hi, Paul. Good morning. How are you today?
Good morning. Good. How are you doing?
Good, good. I'm sure you're seeing a lot of different things come up, various scenarios coming up as we navigate these new uncharted waters with rising rates and rising prices, kind of everything against our favor as borrowers and agents. Today, I wanted to ask you about short sales.
Okay.
For some reason, when we talk about short sales, everybody kind of gets quiet and cringes.
Yeah. Well, there's nothing to be afraid of when it comes to short sales. So short sales were very common. I'd say probably 12 years ago, 10 years ago. My office negotiated hundreds of these. That was kind of our specialty for a while there, is helping people get through these short sales. So I realize a lot of agents now maybe weren't around for that short sale era or maybe forgot about it. So the basic, I can go into depth about it, but the basics of a short sale is where somebody wants to sell a property, somebody wants to buy a property for the market price at the time, but the person selling owes too much money to mortgage lenders and other debts on the property to cover. So they be having to bring money to the table. So we, in that scenario, get involved and negotiate with these lenders, the mortgage lenders, for them to agree to accept less than what is owed to them to allow the sale to take place. The seller in most of these cases is not going to walk away with money. There were cases before, there were programs. I don't know if we'll see that again or if lenders will be willing, but sometimes they do allow relocation money. So the seller will walk away with $3,000, $5,000. I had people, as much as $15,000.
Really?
That was during that time. But we are starting to see some foreclosures. Some foreclosures and some short sales again. With regards to the short sales, what I've seen, the two that I have right now that have come in the last month are both very similar scenarios. So these are people that bought this property, over 10 years ago, probably 15 years ago. At the time of purchase, they bought with two mortgages, the first mortgage and a second mortgage. So they did like an 80-20 loan that they used to do back then, or 80-10, whatever. When things during the crisis and the modifications and everything, these people both went into foreclosure at one point. They took advantage of the government programs and were able to modify their first mortgage to, great rates, 2%, 3%, 40-year terms. So that settled that. They've been paying this first mortgage this whole time, but they just kind of ignored the second mortgage. And then what happened was, just to make it easier to understand, let's say this person owed $300,000 on a first and $60,000 on a second. At the time, the house went down in value to $250,000, let's say, because everything crashed in 2010. They modified the first, and it was fine. The second mortgage was kind of left in limbo. They still owed $60,000. There's still a lien against the house, but the second mortgage is kind of powerless because they're subject to the first mortgage. They're not going to foreclose because they're not going to get anything out of it. They're not even going to have enough money to pay off the first. So the second mortgage, a lot of these sold to collection agencies several times over this last decade. Now, fast forward to today, the house may be worth $450,000. So now the second mortgage debt collector looks at it and says, "Oh, wait a minute. We know the first lien is owed about $250,000. We're owed $60,000, and this house is worth $400,000, $450,000. We can now foreclose, pay off the first, and recover our money plus interest that is accumulated." One of them has like 12 years of missed payments of interest. They're not big payments because it's a small loan, but it adds up. So now these people are throwing this loan into foreclosure. So even though they've been paying the first mortgage, they can go into foreclosure. So these people come and it's like, if there may be enough equity still, there's not a short sale because they may be able to pay off everything. We may be able to negotiate something. The first thing is to defend the foreclosure. But that's just one example of things that are happening that may lead to more short sales in the market. So the important thing with a short sale, as agents, I know I don't want to get, lost in the details here, but
Right.
as agents, when you're taking a listing, that's a short sale, they need to have somebody that's negotiating this for them. I don't recommend the agents do it. There's some agents that do it. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of paperwork. We need to gather. We need to monitor any foreclosure status. Sometimes it does require foreclosure defense. But the important thing is that the seller understands that this is not a normal sale. This is subject to lender approval. That may take 30 days, it may take 60, it may take 90. It requires the lender, one of the first steps is the lender is going to send their own BPO of the property. So if you're selling the house for 300,000, but the lender does their BPO and they tell them and that comes back and they say, no, we think you can get 350. They're not going to just agree to whatever contract you sign. So it's important to price the properties correctly. It's important to be working with somebody gathering. There's a ton of paperwork we need to get from a seller, tax returns, pay stubs, bank statements. Lender wants to see all that. We need to do preliminary closing statements so they can see on paper all that needs to be paid, including the real estate commission, which sometimes the lender will knock those down too. They won't allow the full 6%. They may say, no, you're only paying 4% on this. You figure it out. All that needs to be negotiating. You need someone who knows what they're doing. On the other side of it, when you're doing you have a buyer,
Right.
Okay, you see a property that's priced great and you want to make an offer, and if you see it's a short sale, you need to know what that means, because you're making an offer and the seller may accept it, but that is all subject to lender approval. So you may submit the offer for 300,000 on this property, and the lender comes back 30 days later and says, no, we want 350, and then your buyer, I've had people that are frustrated because they used to make offers on a ton of short sales and they would all get countered, or at the end of the day, the short sale wouldn't get accepted by the lender. That's the risk you take as a buyer agent. If you have a buyer who's in desperate need of a home and needs to be out of their house and is going to be homeless basically if they don't close, you probably want to stay away from the short sales unless it's already approved, which sometimes they'll put it on the MLS, approved short sale, and you'll ask for the proof and we'll review that. But those are just a couple of things. I think it's a topic as we get more into it that we'll probably do kind of a training about it more in depth. If the agents want that, just let us know, and we'll go through A to Z kind of on it. It could probably be easily an hour long topic. I used to teach it at the board on short sales and foreclosures, and it was an hour and a half class, I think 90 minutes. So there's a lot to it, but the main thing is be patient and make sure that everybody's represented and has their expectations set correctly.
I think that's key, that it's so unpredictable in every scenario because you are subject to lender negotiations. Whether you're the buyer or the seller, it's important to know as their agent that this is not going to be a 30, 45, 60-day process. It could be, but it could be even longer. And not to have those expectations. And sometimes when there's clarity about that, then, you navigate the waters as they come. But know that we have Paul here. As he said, he's taught on the board. So we have a very knowledgeable resource and support system in place for you should you come across a distressed seller or a buyer that's looking into a short sale, so that we can help set the right expectation and make it as seamless as possible. I think there's a reason why people cringe when they hear short sale.
It's not easy. It's not in and out, but it is doable. And in a lot of cases, it's for buyers. It's great because you may get a property a little bit of a discount. I don't know how much now. We're just starting this again, but back then the lenders were kind of being, if you were getting things a little bit below market. We'll see how they come back now. Things have changed, and it takes a little while before they start. But every lender is different. That's the other thing, is that I can't tell you, okay, it's going to take 30 days every short sale, because Bank of America is different than Chase, different than Caliber, different. They all have their loss mitigation departments. Some are quicker and better organized than others. Some are more willing to do it than others. It depends on the type of loan. It depends on the hardship. The seller has to show that they're not just dumping it because they can't. Because the lost value, that they can't pay, or they had some change in circumstance. So that's where we come in, talk to the sellers, get all that information, craft a good explanation, a hardship letter. All that is important. Little details of it is where people get stuck on the short sales.
So would it be safe to say if our agents had a question on this, they could email you directly?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. If you have a potential short sale listing or a buyer who's looking to buy a short sale, um, or even a contract that you're doing and you already have a short sale listing, there's certain language that is important to put in there. So if you want to just send it to us before they sign it, because if you send it to us after to handle it and it's already been signed, then it makes it tougher to go back and say, hey, we forgot to add this. So it's better to send it to me before you send it to a buyer for signing if you're on the listing side, or as a buyer if you're signing a contract and there's some clauses in there you're not sure of, let me know. Or if you're meeting with a seller who may be a short seller, we can help with that too.
So I think just preparation is key and going in with the right approach, the proper legal support and guidance, which we are so blessed to have here. Anytime you have a question, know that you can reach out to me as the agent concierge. If it's something directly legally related, you can also email Paul at xcellencetitle.com. We are always here to help you. The main line 305-595-7355, and the option is for title or mortgage. Paul, is there anything you want us to take away when we hear short sales? Should we be freaking out, or should we know that we've got your support?
Just know that every case is different. There's no, we could get one that we get approved in 15 days. There could be another one do the exact same work, the same process. But it's just important to be consistent, to follow up, and to kind of work with people that know what they're doing on it, because you lose a lot of time otherwise, just missing paperwork or not communicating properly with the lenders and stuff like that. So don't be scared if it comes. The market isn't there yet where there's a ton of these, but we don't know what's going to happen, and there may be more opportunities. I would, don't pass on the business before analyzing it, and that's why we're here to help.
Well, we really appreciate your support and guidance as we navigate the real estate world. Together moving forward, as always, we appreciate your time. Make it a great day. Thank you, Paul.
All right.
Thank you. Take care.